Okay, I've been listening to a lot of the commentary that's been going on about TWA Flight 800, and I'm waiting to see the TWA Flight 800 documentary on Epix. Unfortunately, for some reason, my FiOS cable box wasn't receiving it yet. I don't know why, but it comes on tomorrow at 8, so I'm definitely going to watch it and see if I change my mind. Now, basically, normally I present a very forceful opinion that normally can't be changed. But in this case, because, I wasn't a witness to the plane going down, but I've read a lot about what happens when a missile strikes an aircraft. And, there are witnesses who say it was a missile. The federal government's claim is that it wasn't a missile. It was a spark in a fuel tank and whatnot, similar to what took down the shuttle Challenger, I believe. But in any event, before I give you my reason why I think it wasn't shot down, what I will mention is the fact that if it was shot down by terrorists, it seems to me that there would have been some terrorist out there to take responsibility for it and to tell you his reasons why he did it, just like Al-Qaeda supposedly has already done or always done, or just like typical terrorist elements usually do. And another reason why I don't think it was a terrorist attack was simply because if it was a terrorist attack, then it would give the government every single reason to have invaded places like Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan years earlier than the 9/11 attacks. Because the 9/11 attacks gave the government every justification to go in and invade other countries and do regime change under national security. But I don't believe it was terrorists, because if terrorists had fired a missile at this plane, I really believe that they would be trying to take responsibility and celebrating and shooting their AK-47s in the air, this, that, and other. Now, some people believe it could have been a missile that came from a Navy ship, or possibly some type of Navy defense training that went wrong. Perhaps they were shooting at a drone and they made a mistake and shot the plane down. Now, if that was a Navy mistake, and this did happen because it was a war game that went wrong, of course the government would never be able to apologize for that. Because for one thing, it would cause the stocks and the public interest in air travel to decrease, just like post 9/11 air travel. And another thing is because the government itself would be liable, and they'd have to hand out lots and lots and lots of money to pay off these people, because they'd be sued by just about everybody who was connected to any of the family members on the plane. So yeah, there's a real reason why they would never apologize for it, and they would never let you know it was an accident if it was an accident. However, the simple reason why I don't think it was a missile, and the reason why is because typically missiles, such as shoulder-fired Stinger missiles, for instance, and even the missiles that they use in the Navy, those missiles typically track aircraft using infrared heat signatures. If that was the case and one of these missiles was fired at the plane, they would have more likely taken out an engine than they would have gone for the underbelly of the aircraft. Because you got to remember, most of these missiles, they, especially back then, because we're talking about technology of the 90s and 80s, one of those missiles would have more likely gone for an engine. And as you know, missiles, they fly right up to the target, and sometimes they don't actually physically impact the target. What they do is, once they get close enough to use the shrapnel that explodes out of them to shred the target, some missiles will, especially a small shoulder-fired missile, would actually fly right up to one of the engines and try to destroy one of the engines. And if that was the case, what a witness might have seen would have been a missile flying right up to the airplane, boom, and you would have seen an engine just blown right off of the wing, and the plane might have been able to land if that was the case, because as you know, one of those planes can actually land itself even if it loses an engine, as Captain Sully proved. And also, another thing you have to remember is an airframe that's that large, missiles, shoulder-fired missiles, for instance. Now, I can't speak to these Navy missiles, but shoulder-fired missiles and small missiles that wouldn't make such a large plume of smoke leaving a Navy battleship or something. Those small missiles aren't big enough to shred or shatter an airframe, they call it. When in the movie Top Gun, they show you missiles blowing airplanes to smithereens, into tiny little pieces. But if you ever really take a look at a wing, first of all, a wing is a large hunk of aluminum that's filled with fuel, and it's got hydraulics and fuel and pipes and wires and this, that, and other. And I really think that if one of those small missiles had hit this plane, that it would not have shattered the entire airframe, but what you would have seen was it hit the plane, part of the plane maybe burst into flames, and then the plane come down and crash. But it doesn't seem right to me that a missile would go after the central portion of the plane where the fuel tank, as you see in this picture, the red area is the area that they're pointing out as the part that exploded. It doesn't make any sense to me that a missile would go after that point on the plane. So that's just my hypothesis. I mean, I'm not saying I'm wrong, I'm not saying I'm right, but that's just my hypothesis. So if you have criticisms, or if you have your own idea, you're free to post your own idea. But based upon what I've read about military technology, that's what I believe.